What words of wisdom would you give to women who are considering starting their own business?
The advice I would give you is to start. Don't be on the sidelines like I was for 20 years.
Welcome to Time to Win podcast. It's not just a podcast, it's the official personal growth locker room of life where champions just like you gather to cultivate their courage, create a life changing game plan of success, and celebrate their wins. I'm RJ Jackson, your personal growth coach and host, and I'm committed to seeing you win. As a professional speaker and growth coach for over 3 decades, I've worked with and inspired thousands to grow their greatness and transform their setbacks into a comeback. And now it's your turn. It's time to win. So if you're ready, grab something to take notes with. We're about to dive in. Let's go, fight, win. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Locker Room of Life here on Time to Win podcast. We're excited to have you here. You know who I am, your girl, RJ Jackson, the courage giver, your impact speaker and mindset coach, helping you go from stress and struggles. Yes, girl, we not staying there no more because we don't believe in living where we're dying nor dying where we're living. We're going from stress and struggles to purpose and prosperity because God says we were born to win. And we're about to get you off the sidelines today. Our guest, Lisa Anderson, CEO of Positively in Pursuit, is here to help you pursue your purpose. And as she said, it's time to get off the sideline and get in the game. So let's take a moment and welcome HR specialist, speaker, and author, Lisa Anderson. Lisa, girl, welcome to Time to Win podcast. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much, RJ. I am super excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's not delay. Let's just jump right into the conversation. I know it's going to be rich, and I can't wait to hear about your journey, the nuggets you want to share, the lessons you've learned, and the information that's going to cause transformation in our situation. So, I know you're an HR, human resource specialist, leader in your field, an author, and a speaker. But what I don't know is how you got to where you are. So, take some time and share your journey with us.
Yes, thank you, RJ. Here's my journey. As you said earlier, my name is Lisa Anderson, and I am a chief HR officer. I live a dual life. I double life is what I call it, because I am still full-time in corporate America as a chief HR officer, but I also have my own coaching business called Positively in Pursuit. And so I started that coaching business 6 years ago when I decided that I wanted to help other women leaders in finding their voice, especially in male dominated environments, leadership courage. Based on, again, what I went through in my career when I was growing up that corporate ladder, and then executive presence and how we show up in the workplace. So that is one of my passions, to work with women on those things based on my career path. I literally grew my career up the corporate ladder. I started my career about 30 years ago as a recruiter, and I literally walked my way up that corporate ladder, moving to an HR business partner, HR manager, HR director, vice president of HR, and then what I am today, which is a chief HR officer for a technology company. And as I was growing my career, I went through certain things. And now I just have a passion to help other women who may be going through similar experiences and to let them know that they are not alone. And that's my passion, and that's who I am.
Hashtag I am Lisa Anderson and hashtag dual citizenship. So let's talk about the dual citizenship and what that really looks like because so often quote unquote experts are teaching, quit your job, go start your own business. But it sounds like you took the route of wisdom that said, no, keep your job and start your business on the side until you're able to pursue your purpose and your passion full time. So, what has that been like for you? Because I know there are women probably listening who are like, I'm scared to do both, or I don't know how to do both. So, tell us about the journey.
I started my business 6 years ago, and yes, I am well over 40. But here's the thing, I've always had a desire to start my own business, and I just didn't know how. And I had this huge fear of failure when it came to starting my own business. And so that kept me on the sidelines for a long time. But I love my career field. I love the field of HR. I always had the thirst for the knowledge of HR. So that kept me sort of going in my career. But I did get to a point in my career as I was climbing the corporate ladder. What's next for me? I have always been in a HR leadership role. I love growing and developing people. And what I learned about myself is that the parts of my job that I loved the most in corporate was working with my HR team. So growing, helping my colleagues, helping the people that are on my team reporting to me, helping them get to their next career goal. And what I learned is I enjoyed that. Now, I did enjoy the HR work, but I really enjoyed developing the people part. And so when I decided to launch a next business, I really wanted to focus on helping other people to grow and helping other people to develop. So coaching was right in that sweet spot for me. So anyone who is on the fence about starting their own business, look, it takes a lot of work. I am still working full time in corporate America and started my business part time. So guess what? It's taken me longer to grow my business because I'm working full time. And that's okay. Even if I do a little bit at a time, there's movement. I always say to my women that I'm working with, baby steps, that's movement. I'm very happy with what I've been able to achieve working still full time in a demanding job in corporate America and still running my business. For the women who are out there, you can do a little bit at a time and not try to conquer the world and burn yourself out with two full-time jobs. Give yourself some grace with that.
Give yourself some grace. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Give yourself some grace. Now that, Lisa, that's wisdom. And so thinking of wisdom, you've been in your business 6 years. You've been doing it on the side as you fulfill your full-time responsibility in HR. You're an author, you have a recent book out, you're a speaker and a coach. Let's talk about that journey, what it's like to be a coach, an author, and a speaker, and lessons that you're learning as a result that you could share with us. I'm sure there's someone listening who is like, I want to be a speaker, I'd love to be a coach. I've dreamed about writing my own book.
It's been a journey for me because all of my experience has been in corporate America. I have never been an entrepreneur, didn't know what a lot of things were on the entrepreneur side. Initially, I had to hire a business coach to help me because I didn't know what I didn't know. So the last 6 years it really has been learning how to be an entrepreneur since all of my experience has been in corporate America. So when the pandemic hit back in 2020, I had started writing a book back in probably 2019 and hit a brick wall with writing my book. Got frustrated, put it on the counter and said, look, let me walk away. But guess what? When the pandemic hit, that was an opportunity for me to slow down because at that point we were all working from home and in our homes. And that was the caveat for me to pick the book back up, dust it off, and give myself some grace again because, look, I had never written a book. At that point, I was able to hire a book coach. And I truly believe that if it wasn't for that book coach, I probably wouldn't have gotten the book to the end. The wonderful thing about still working full time, I've been able to fund my dream. Some of us jump into entrepreneurship full time. And if we don't have the proper savings and all that, that comes with a different kind of energy. So for me, I've been able to keep my full-time job. And yes, it's a challenge with the balance, but I've been using that full-time job to help fund my business. So I was able to afford to hire the book coach, right, to help me get to the end. So the book is called Invisible Professional to Influential Leader. And that book is a tip book for women leaders. And it is about my journey of feeling invisible in my career, especially when I got to the leadership level where I was the only woman at the table. And a lot of times I was the only woman of color in the room at the table. So I went through some things feeling that way and lost my voice in meetings.
Being the only one in the room and the only one at the table, I can only imagine what you went through. Is that what your book is about?
So that book gives 25 tips plus 2 bonus tips around how do you shift from feeling invisible to becoming an influential leader. And then I love, sharing, being on stages and sharing my story through speaking and helping other women who may be going through similar experiences.
Oh my goodness, Lisa, I really appreciate how you reminded us how important it is to be confident in the skin you're in. And you said, yes, I work a full-time job and I have my business on the side, and my full-time job, it supports my business. I love that because a wise woman once told me, have a fund to fund your business. And that's exactly what I hear you say you're doing. You're using your full-time job to fund your passion. I absolutely love it.
Yes, RJ, I believe in that. I invested in myself, and you have to invest in yourself, especially if you don't know. It's okay if you don't know. Get the help that you need. So absolutely, I've hired more than 2 coaches. I hired a business coach to help me get my business set up. I hired a book coach to help me write a book. I had never done those things, right? So, be unapologetic about investing in yourself because you are worth it.
Invest in yourself. Yes, Lisa, that part right there. As women, we spend so much time, energy, and money investing in other people. And then when it comes to investing in ourselves, we have so many excuses of why we can't invest in our dreams, our personal growth, our professional development. But it's so important. It's vital and key to our success. And so if you're thinking about starting a business, you definitely want to understand how important it is to invest in yourself, because that starts with self-care, my friend. And perhaps you are thinking of starting a business. And that's why we're doing this podcast today, to help you get off on the right foot. So, Lisa, with your experience and expertise, what would you say to a woman who's thinking about starting her own business?
The advice I would give you is to start. Don't be on the sidelines like I was for 20 years. And the reason why I was on the sidelines is because of my fear of failure. And you have to get real about your relationship with failure. When I was going through my coaching certification program, I had another coach, a peer coach, that challenged me on my fear of failure. And that changed my whole trajectory. And here's the question that she asked me. She said, Lisa, you have had great success in your corporate career. Why do you not think you will have success with your own business? Mind blown. I had never had that challenge or had that perspective challenge. And I had to pause and say to her, that's a great question, and I don't have an answer for you right now. But my mind was blown, and I really had to walk away from that conversation and question and say, Lisa, why don't you think you won't? Look at do you think you've had success in your entire corporate career and never had a failure in your corporate career? Absolutely, you've had failures. And what did you do in those instances? You dust yourself off and you got back up and you looked at the failure as a lesson learned and you kept it moving. That's the only way that you elevated to the chief HR officer's spot. So why not do that when it comes to your business? And that was such a pivotal moment for me that once I got my mind around that, then I was like, you know what? I'm going to file the papers for my LLC. I'm going to go to the bank and open up a business bank account. And guess what? I don't have all the answers. I'm researching and I'll figure out how to do it. And yes, I'm going to make some mistakes. And yes, my coaches are going to help me and I'm going to keep it moving. And I haven't looked back.
That is totally powerful. Don't look back because your destiny is in the direction in which you're going. So if we're looking back, we're headed back. So stay forward focused. I love that, Lisa. Thanks so much for sharing that. And so, perhaps there's somebody who's listening who's like, yeah, well, I tried. It didn't work. Matter of fact, I just feel like a failure. I'm not even going to try again. It's not even worth it. What words of encouragement would you share to her to help her get back up and put one foot in front of the other and try again?
I'm going to go back to looking at your relationship with failure. And is it really a failure? So one of the tips in my book is it's not a failure, it's a lesson learned. So you got to get clarity around how you perceive failure. And that was huge for me. I had someone say to me, Lisa, as an entrepreneur, you got to get comfortable with failure, which was very uncomfortable for me. And I know a lot of other high achieving women feel that way, like, oh, I can't fail. But failure is a part of the journey. And sometimes with failure, you don't get to the next level until you take some of the lessons learned from the failure. So for those women who, feel like they're a failure or because they haven't reached, their goals, they feel like they're a failure. My advice is, guess what? You're still on the journey. Who said the journey was over? So this is a part of the journey. So look to your next. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get the lesson learned, because there is always a lesson learned from the failure. Take the juicy nuggets from the failure, right? From the perceived failure and say, guess what? I learned some couple things. I done bumped my head, I done bruised my elbows and my knees. And guess what? The next time now I know. And keep moving forward. Take the next step. That will be my advice.
Keep moving forward and take the next step. And as I like to say, one step at a time. That's why we put on our red high heels so we can take one step at a time. Lisa, we say that as coaches, and sometimes people are in a situation where they're feeling like, yeah, that's easier said than done. And their feelings are real, they're justified. And so perhaps you can share a time where you felt like it's hard, but you didn't quit. You did take one more step. You did put one foot in front of the other, and you pressed your way through. Can you tell us a time that was true for you? Or perhaps tell us, how do you keep going when it gets tough, when it's hard? You know to put one foot in front of the other, but it's also a challenge. It's hard. What do you actually do to help yourself stay motivated, stay encouraged, and keep going?
That's a great question. Yes, I am a self-admitted lifelong learner. That's one thing I've learned about myself. I love the challenge of learning new things. And, what I've learned about myself is if I'm not learning or growing, I get bored. And so, again, that's some wisdom from just being over the years, just looking at the environments that I thrive in and getting that clarity and being okay with that, right? So, what I do to keep myself learning and growing in the HR profession, I have 2 senior level certifications that force me to stay up to date on current HR practices, laws, knowledge, because just like any other professional certifications, you're required to recertify every 3 years. And with that recertification, you're required to have 60, continuing education credit hours, because I never want to take those exams again. So that forces me to stay up to date with my HR knowledge. So that's on the corporate industry side, within my profession, I stay up to date with learning and growing and making sure that those certifications stay in place. On my business side, as an entrepreneur and as a leadership coach and a speaker and author, I always try to stay up to speed on what's going on with my clients, what kind of way, things that I need to learn so I can continue to grow and support my clients as they're going through, whatever issues that they're going through, and then I'm trying to coach and support them through. So that helps me to stay current and within my business. And then I surround myself with people, network where I can learn from others. I want to be in the room with other women entrepreneurs that are a step ahead of me so I can learn and grow from them. So I always try to, position myself to be in those rooms and to offer what I know, right? So it can be a two-way thing. Networking is two ways. How can I support you as well as they are supporting me? So those are some of the ways that I, continue to grow and keep myself in that learning mode.
Healthy people grow. And it's obvious to me that growing is important to you and that you press through when times are hard. On the flip side of that, it can be very enjoyable, especially when you live in life on purpose. So, what's been one of your biggest accomplishments and what did you learn from it?
One of my greatest accomplishments, and it is one, but I have several. But when I get to work with a client and see her work through whatever, issue or, whatever brought her to me as her coach, and then to see her elevate, that is like the greatest reward for me as a coach, to see my client, whatever her goals are, that she gets there, whether it is her making it to the next level, like promoting into the next level, or whether it's now that she's positioned herself as a subject matter expert, and now she's like killing the game, right? So those kinds of things, like, really, like, I'm super excited, and I consider that as an achievement, being her coach and having that honor to help her on her journey. So that will be, one thing. I have so many just aha moments for me. Like, I never thought that I would be a best-selling author, on Amazon. And I had, that to me still blows my mind, because 10 or 15 years ago, that wasn't even in my thoughts to be an author. And not only an author, but a best-selling author. So those are some of the other achievements. And just one big achievement is just really getting my business off the ground when I sat on the sideline for 20 years because of my fear of failure in starting a business. So I have a lot to celebrate, be thankful for. I'm blessed, grateful, just all the things.
I can tell that you're really passionate about serving your clients, and that's awesome. So I heard you talk about the sideline a couple of times, and I'm just kind of curious, like, what would you say to your younger self that would have told you, like, hey girl, get off the sideline, get in the game? What would you say?
Yes. So this is what I would say to my younger self, because I was very unapologetic about my career. When I was first starting my HR career, I would stay at a company and learn and grow. And the minute that I started to feel stagnant, or I was no longer growing or learning, I was unapologetic about moving to the next challenge or the next position. And what I wish, when I look at my younger self and back in those days, I wish I had that same tenacity and spirit when it came to starting my own business. So that was, the difference that I learned. Like, why was I so spunky and, courageous and bold back during those times when I was my younger self? But then when it came to starting this business, I sat on the sidelines for 20 years. Right. So that's the challenge that peer coach, and I thank her to this day, that she said, look at the two differences here, but yet you're the same person. So how do you close that gap? So if I was to say to my younger self, Lisa, be that bold, courageous, unapologetic person that you were in your career when you were first starting out in your career, and take that same spirit and do other things in your life, like the business.
Now, that's a great lesson to share with your younger self. Be bold and courageous. Step into your greatness. Get out of your comfort zone. Get uncomfortable with being comfortable, and do what's in your heart to do. Absolutely, positively true. Great lesson. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. So, Lisa, you've talked about fear, you talked about failure, you talked about getting out of your comfort zone. Let's shift for a second, because I want to know, has there ever been a time in your life where you actually had to shift? You had to make what I call a reposition journey, turn things around because things weren't quite going the way you wanted them to, and you had to make some different decisions. Have you ever had that experience? And if so, what was it like and what did you learn from it?
Yes, so I can really relate to that with my, just growing my career. So there were several positions, as I'm learning and growing and trying to determine what part of HR am I really gonna either focus in on or specialize in. HR is a huge field. So I could have decided to specialize in compensation or benefits or state a recruiter. I mean, there's so training and development. There's so many different areas you can go in HR. And as I was trying to figure that out for myself, I got into a few positions that, once I, got into the positions and really started performing, I said, this is not what I'm enjoying. This is not what I am passionate about. And, so I had a decision to make. You can stay in a job or stay in a role where when you look up at the end of the day, you say, what am I really getting out of this? And how is this going to help me with my career goal? And there were several positions that that I obtained, and I got in those positions and I'm like, this is not a good fit. And this is something definitely that will not help me with my career goal or what I really want to do. And going through those experiences really helped me determine that I didn't want to specialize in one particular area in HR. I wanted to become a generalist where I get to do a little bit of all the things and I get to dabble. So my expertise became learning a business, being really ingrained with what a company is doing, and then me coming in and adding the HR pieces, the HR strategy. And that's what I enjoyed. But it took some time for me to figure that out. And that was okay. Because guess what? If I didn't go into some of those positions, I would have never learned that those positions were areas that I didn't want to focus in. So the point being is sometimes you have to try the new things. And if it doesn't work out, or if it's not something that aligns with your values or what you really want to do, again, it's okay to pivot and get what you can, get the lesson learned, but pivot to something else that you believe that will be more in alignment. And that's okay.
And that's okay. Once again, learn the lesson, forget the details. And going back to something you said earlier, another little nugget that fits perfectly right here. Listen, how would I know if I never tried it? So go try it. Be like Mikey. Go try it. You might like it. Oh, what a conversation. What great nuggets you've given us today. Thoughts to ponder, something to chew on, causes inspiration that causes transformation in our situation. It's been a great conversation. Now, unfortunately, we are like at the tip of the closing, what we call the fourth quarter here. But guess what? We're winning. We're winning because you have coached us today, Coach Lisa, and you've made our world a better place to be in. So we've talked about repositioning. We've talked about failure. We've talked about learning some lessons. We talked about your book, Invisible Leader, and congratulations once again on being an Amazon bestselling author. We've talked about trying it because you'll never know until you've tried it. We talked about making sure you invest in yourself. Such great nuggets. So where do you go from here, Miss Lisa? What's next on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so what's next for me is I am continuing my coaching business and coaching women and different clients. I am speaking on more platforms, getting just the word out there to let people know about me, because guess what? Visibility is a part of this, right? So I got to get myself out there and let people know. So I am starting to speak on more stages. And I just finished a book anthology. The last chapter that I wrote in the book that just came out last October called Real Problems, Real Women, Real Successes. And I wrote my chapter on my experience when I did not get a promotion. So I hope that helps a lot of women who may be in those similar experiences. And guess what? Not only I talked about my experience in the chapter, but again, what was the lesson learned? And I had a lot of lessons that I learned from that experience. So, but those are the things that are next for me, right? Just continuing to expand my business and keep putting my message out there and keep connecting with other women. So I would love to hear from, anyone who may be experiencing some of the things that I talked about. So feel free to reach out and connect.
And how can we connect with you on either your website or social media?
Sure. So my website is www.positivelyiinpursuit.com. And I am on social media, Instagram and Facebook as Positively in Pursuit. And I'm also on LinkedIn as Positively in Pursuit.
You can connect with Lisa online via her website, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram at Positively in Pursuit. Lisa, it's been a joy having this conversation with you, and I'm so happy that we have had the opportunity to connect. Thanks so much for being here with us today, here in the Locker Room of Life on Time to Win podcast.
Thank you so much, RJ. This was a great conversation.
A great conversation, indeed. Well, my good friends, we've kept our word again, bringing you the best of the best to help you experience transformation in your situation. Listen, it's your time to win, but you got to get in the game. As the saying says, you got to be in it to win it. So we just want to encourage you, let's go, fight, win, because you got this, because you were born to win. So that just about does it for us for today, but we'll be back next week. And if you have missed any of our past episodes, we want to encourage you to go back and check out the replay. In the meantime, in between time, stay amazing and remember, one step at a time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Time to Win. I recognize that you appreciate the value provided in today's episode, and for your gratitude, I'm giving you a Time to Win VIP listener badge. So head on over to timetowinpodcast.com. That's timetowinpodcast.com and claim your badge and gain immediate VIP access to more of our next level resources and opportunities, including details on the huddle, a table for 10, the Cure Circle, and the Cure Retreat. Because you've enjoyed today's session, you can also express your gratitude by rating, reviewing, and returning next week with a friend. Oh, by the way, be sure to screenshot today's episode and share it in your Instagram and Facebook story or on your favorite social media platform. We'll look forward to seeing you again next week in the Locker Room of Life, here on Time to Win. And remember, the best time to win is now.